All right, hello everybody, and welcome back yet again to Corsace Closed semifinals. This time, Decaten versus mrekk, seed 6 versus seed 7, close in terms of seeding. Not necessarily so close on paper, but Decaten did just come off a very impressive 6-5 tiebreaker win. I'm iFlame, soon to be joined by Fire Rage, but we'll be here in just a minute. So while we're waiting, let's just waste no time. Let's talk about pick ban. Decaten, last time around, did ban out some of the faster picks. Uh, I feel like you have to ban out the DT1 if you are Decaten. Struggle with that a little bit. mrekk, against Udinator, had 1.2 million on the DT1. And so that's something you can't afford to leave up, I don't think. It does feel like there's a lot of things that need to be banned. And for now, we're going to be joined by Dio. Welcome.
Thank you. Decaten coming off the back of a good win on tiebreaker versus intercambing. mrekk coming off the back of a sweep versus Zoonator. Us coming off the back of several 20Ks in GeoGuessr.
Yeah.
All parties involved doing very well this evening. And yeah, I think this is going to be a very interesting match. Like, you have mrekk qualifying in a much lower seed, dropping down to worst HR player early on in the tournament. But of course, as the previous winner in 2023 is still favored in, I think, the majority of matchups that you're going to see him play in Corsace Closed this year, versus Decaten, who played pretty well versus intercambing, but had a full length tiebreaker match. And so a lot more info for mrekk to go off of, a lot more potential weaknesses for mrekk to abuse. And I think a lot of the same things that we saw in Decaten's match versus intercambing are going to be abused once again here versus mrekk.
Yeah. And I mean, with all that information, it's especially rough for Decaden because of how small the pool is relative to a lot of pools, right? In that match, there's a single map unpicked and 4 bans. So mrekk has information on almost the entire pool and knows exactly what Decaden can get. mrekk has been on an absolute DT tear, popped off like through the entire tournament. So it feels like if you're Decaden, you need to ban out the DT too, because but you also need to ban out the No Mod 5. You then need to ban out the DT1. The DT3 could be closer, but remains to be seen. I do like the Hard Rock 3 ban. That's not something we saw played from mrekk, but it was banned against Decaten, as was the Hard Rock 2, so that could be a later ban. And then, of course, the reading picks as well, something that mrekk has banned out consistently throughout the tournament. So that is nice for Decaden in the sense that Decaden probably doesn't have to worry so much about the No Mod 6 HD2 and doesn't have to waste a ban on those. But mrekk is just going to pick the other speed map, is going to go for speed, likely into the DT1, and try and get a quick 2 points that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, again, a very similar strategy to what we saw intercambing do versus Decaten earlier. I think even the reading maps can also be good picks for mrekk in this matchup. mrekk's reading has gotten a lot better as of recent, within the last year or two in tournaments. But for now, it's going to be the speed abuse. I think zero surprises to anyone who knows what mrekk is good at, which should be just about everybody watching, right? The no mod speed, the DT speed, DT high approach rate, aim and speed. Hybrid maps are just the special for mrekk, but it does actually over tap a note there at the end of the first longer stream in this map and drop the slider break because of that. Maybe a little bit lower on the warm up for mrekk here, as quite a lot of accuracy dropped early on in this map. Decaten's still on the full combo, but not with super high accuracy either, so still winnable for either party at the moment.
Yeah, Decaden is going to drop some accuracy, but holds onto the combo, and that's what matters. It is a very short map, so you don't have to worry about the stamina necessarily as much, and Decaden holds on through the pattern. mrekk does not, and all of a sudden, Decaden could be taking this No Mod 5. There's only half of the map to go, and Decaden is still on the full combo. mrekk has dropped twice, and the accuracy has gone out the window, now 10% behind. I mean, not what we'd expect for a first pick, and I wouldn't say the ending is that much harder than the start. If Decaten can certainly build up the combo, and mrekk is very quickly running out of time.
Yeah, I mean, this is just not what you expect to see at all on the first pick for mrekk. 150k, 3/4 of the way into the map, 85% accuracy. This is just not what you want to see at all for the first pick from the number one player in the world and the former winner. And I think these are actually flipped because I just turned on decaten's stream and he's at the end of the map and has 215k. So
Nice.
that is
Okay.
completely flipped at the start. mrekk was getting 600k, 800k by the end of the map. And decaten is the one getting 85 AC, which is much more to expectation than what was shown on screen here. So yeah, it is mrekk getting the first point on his own pick. FC for mrekk with the 93 AC. Extremely good score there. And of course, the client's being flipped trolled us a little bit, but we'll get that sorted after this map.
I feel a little betrayed, Dio, I'm not going to lie. But in that case, things have gone exactly as expected. Unfortunately, decaten could not ban out both of the speed maps, and mrekk continues to look very good on anything tapping related. decaten, I'm curious if decaten wants to pick the Hard Rock 2. Did not opt for it early on in the last match, left it long enough that it was able to be banned out second. But mrekk did put up 500k on it, so decaten has the information, and I think we'll know very early on, based on whether or not it gets picked, how comfortable decaten feels on the Hard Rock 2, and how confident he feels in getting better than 500k. So if we don't see that picked early on before this ban phase, it's probably just not getting picked until very late, if at all. I mean, in terms of other likely picks, the I mean, the Nomad 3 was not played in the last match, and that was one of the maps that mrekk had a little bit of a rougher time on. Only 350k was the lowest score on any map against Zudi. But based on the fact that it wasn't picked, I can't imagine decaten is very comfortable on this Nomad 3. It doesn't
Yeah.
leave a ton of options. It have a really impressive performance on Nomad 1, but it's a little bit too early to coin flip a Nomad 1, I think. It seems like a bit of a later stage pick.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, decaten avoided that nomad 3 versus intercamming as well. So I feel like we're just not going to see that. And I think kind of similarly, we'll probably end up seeing some of the other picks that maybe decaten was going into earlier on versus intercamping here. It is going to be the Hard Rock 1 as the first pick for decaten. I'm actually not super keen on this Hard Rock 1 because both of the scores for intercamping and decaten on this map were on the lower side around the 350k mark. So I think decaten may be saying, yeah, hopefully we can do a little bit better this time around than in the matchup versus intercamping.
And looks like decaten has found a break, but had such an early combo advantage, assuming due to an earlier miss from mrekk, that he's built up a solid about a 50k point lead, and there's only a third of the map to go. 200 combo the advantage for mrekk, and the accuracy is even on both sides. So while mrekk is slowly bringing this back, needs to hold on to the combo and cannot afford another miss. Both players nailing the doubles, and this last quarter can be pretty tricky, especially some of these flow aim patterns. And there goes a big miss from mrekk. decaten still holds, should be able to hold on to this lead, as we are joined by Fiery Rage as well. Welcome to the stream, and things are looking good for decaten on this Hard Rock 1. Should be able to get a point back, and has held on to the accuracy as well as the map comes to a close.
And with Fiery joining us, I am going to step out and let him take over on commentary as planned. So yeah, solid start to the match, 1-1 at the start of this one.
Yeah, my bad for misreading UTC times, guys.
UTC is always a struggle.
Thank you, Dio, for carrying me in my 6-minute absence. I appreciate it.
All right.
So 1-1, I think, is what it was, but the graphics don't represent that currently.
Yeah, we've just been informed that the screen is still flipped, so it is 2-0 for mrekk.
Okay.
I mean, I assumed we were planning on flipping that back. Hopefully we'll get that done for next match, so it's not super confusing. But we'll wait to hear from the refs. I think mrekk has a lot of options. I just expect the T1 pick, like we mentioned earlier. 1.2 million, missed right at the end, was effectively a full combo. Decaten got 450k on the DT1, so it's going to take a miracle here.
I'm very glad, at the very least, I was not the only thing that is scuffed currently. I can at least take pride in that fact. I appreciate that.
You know, when one thing goes wrong, it all goes wrong.
Yeah, everything collapses. Everything's falling apart. Just completely erased.
And I mean, I feel like we'll know pretty quickly whether or not they've been fixed based on how the play is, because we haven't heard anything.
I saw buttons enabled on the brake on the right side, so I think it might be fixed.
All right. Well, into DT1. This is a pretty long DT1 pick, a little bit speedier than your average DT1. There are quite a few bursts, and it's 3 minutes and 30 seconds, so can become a little bit stamina intensive. And I believe that is Decaten already struggling somewhat with the accuracy. We've seen this before, but both players holding on. It is not going to be really until the second Ki, most likely, that we started to see some misses, but we did see a couple of misses in that first jump section. There goes Decaten. That's a big miss. Drops a ton of accuracy, and mrekk still going strong as expected. It's so comfortable on this pick.
Yeah, we saw him on the earlier losers bracket match that he kind of just went God mode on this, missing at the very end, as you mentioned. So looking to replicate that. His accuracy is at a stellar 2/100s currently.
Yeah, I don't know what the accuracy was in the last match, but could try and beat that score if it can avoid the miss at the end. The ending spike is pretty crazy on this map. Most of the KIs are fairly consistent in difficulty, and then the ending just goes insane. So we'll see if he can hold on to the full combo the whole way through this time. In the next KI, this one should be pretty safe, as Decaten on the other side continues to struggle. I usually don't like to call maps over this early on in the map, but this one feels a little rough.
I mean, there's only so much you can do against somebody that's FCing an 8.4 star map halfway through.
The scores are still flipped, Copium.
Yeah, no, this is his comeback point. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. Yeah, we still got half the map to go, and mrek's ahead by almost 300,000 now. There it is.
He is very happy about that miss, I can tell.
Yeah, no see this time around, but should be more than enough for a win on this pick. And I think Decaten's already thinking about the next pick. Probably not too invested in the rest of this map. Now that mrekk has missed in the middle, this is where we see the ending hit.
That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
Decaten, to his credit, I think is going to end up with a relatively comparable score to the last DT1. So obviously not enough to beat mrekk, but it is good to see some level of consistency there.
Yeah, there's this type of map is mrekk's playground. There's only really so much you can do to really counter what is, I'd say, unarguably the best DT player in the game currently.
Here we go into the last set of jumps.
Yep, he hit it.
There we go.
So I believe that's another one miss with, I think, almost identical accuracy. Probably one extra 50 or 100 in there in comparison. Yeah, actually, exactly one extra 50 in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I think 800k on this map.
This is the exact same accuracy otherwise.
I mean, that's going to be good enough to beat most scores in this tournament, even though it is worse than the previous one. Decaten has to find the next pick. The Hard Rock one didn't work out. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of great options. I mean, maybe you gamble something like a Nomad 4 that Decaten looked good on, even potentially a Hidden 1 that looked decent. Or you just flip the Nomad 1, but that feels like if you're picking the Nomad 1 this early on, You're almost conceding that you don't have any picks left.
I mean, I think realistically speaking, decaten probably not wanting to go with mechanics overall, so I don't imagine Nomad 1 is a possibility on the table right now. Probably also going to be avoiding anything that's sort of tech-oriented as well.
Which is a mechanics. I mean, there are quite a few alt picks, but I mean, if you can't pick, speed tech or mechanics, you probably don't want to pick reading. You don't have a whole lot of options. There's potentially the Hard Rock too, but again, unless the Caden feels confident he can get 500k on the precision pick, then not going to be the case, and having a tough time with the pick here.
I actually kind of think maybe DT3 would be a risky pick that he could potentially go for. Going to be Hard Rock 2 instead, which does make sense, obviously. decaten is a well-known Hard Rock player, obviously going for something that mrekk might not be entirely comfortable with, which is high circle size precision. This is CS 7.8 in comparison to your typical CS 6.5 map.
And one of the few maps that decaten has the information on as well, so decaten has a rough idea of the benchmark that needs to hit in terms of score, and going to be looking to do that. Drop some accuracy, but not going to be super consequential this early on in the map. This is a very, very aim-intense map pretty much the whole way through. There's a lot of tricky linear aim, and just aim the whole way through is very awkward.
Yeah, unfortunately missing on one of the snap aim patterns there. mrekk does not find a miss. This map is really short, so those misses do add up quite fast. It's already a 40k score lead. But recovering nicely. So if mrekk finds a miss at any point here, this can pretty easily shift the other way. Unfortunately, that's finally going to happen as soon as I say unfortunately. But decaten not having any combo to really counteract that, it's going to be an upwards battle from here.
It is, yeah. I mean, the combo's traded, which helps out a little bit, but now decaten doesn't have enough of an advantage to really bring the score lead back, and 70,000 points is fairly significant. We do get into a more bursty section, so there's going to be a lot more combo potential, and there goes mrekk. That's a big miss. 140 combo up for decaten, and has the accuracy advantage now by 1%, has done a fantastic job of recovering the accuracy, and with 1/3 of the map to go, the score lead's going to flip back over any second now, assuming we don't see a miss from decaten.
There's a lot of chain missable patterns in this. If you miss one of the bursts, it becomes very easy to miss the entire thing, and I think that's what is more concerning than anything, as this lead is not stable for decaten at all. If he chain misses one of those bursts, that is going to pretty much instantly flip the other way. As we get into the ending here, we'll see if he can hold on for this last part here. No issues with these wide-angle jumps whatsoever. These players are making it look easy. That miss, I don't think, is necessarily going to be enough. Never mind, it is. I did not realize the score lead is shifting that fast. Oh my god.
mrekk misses, but it's so close. decaten is still holding. There's a lot of combo to the ending, but it is not enough. 2,000 points. Heartbreak for decaten, as mrekk is going to take a second break point and is up 4-0 now. Has the next pick as well. But before that, we do have another round of bans. I imagine if you're decaten, I mean, I don't know, you could ban out the DT3. Could try risking it.
I'm just looking at this, and this is just a score v2 moment if I've ever seen one. Better accuracy on Deca, less misses, higher combo, didn't win the pick.
It just wasn't meant to be.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's about that consistent combo, you don't need necessarily the highest combo. You can consistently get up to that 300 mark as opposed to having, one high combo and a lot of 200 combo sections. Doesn't quite get you there. I mean, even the ban, it still feels like there are a lot of things that could be banned here. The GT3, even the Nomad 4 probably should be banned. mrekk got 600k to decaten's 400, so you need a pretty big improvement to take that one.
That's going to be DT3.
Yeah.
Not really too surprising.
this point, if you are mrekk, you just ban out comfort for decaten. So even if you know you can play the map decently well, there's really no need to risk it. So that would be probably things like the no mod 4, even potentially the no mod 1 or the hidden 1 as well. But it doesn't necessarily feel like there's anything that needs to be banned on the side of mrekk. Has a lot of options.
I think mrekk probably is going to opt for something that he's just not comfortable with, so wouldn't be surprised to see just whatever. There's a lot, like you said, he has a lot of choices with what he can ban. He already banned out the Hard Rock 3, so Hard Rock pool is entirely eliminated at this point. Doesn't have to worry about that, or the DT pool. Just whether or not he wants to not play something.
Yeah, and I really think we are going to see the hidden 2 and the no mod 6s both go through the entire match without picks or bans. No mod 3 going to be banned out. This was mrekk's lowest score against Sudinator, to 350k, but also the only map we didn't see in Decaden's earlier match versus Intercamming. So it makes sense, ban out the one map that you don't have information on. No need to take the risk. Now has the pick. I mean, a really safe pick seems like the no mod 4. But no mod hidden 1, even hidden 3 is probably good.
Just picking based on vibes at this point, I'd imagine. You're up 4-0, and your opponent doesn't necessarily have the best gimmick skill set in comparison to you. So you can kind of just take that and run with it, and hidden 1 going to be the pick. Speaking of gimmick,
Yeah,
here's a hidden gimmick map.
Yeah, it's kind of a aim-focused tech pick. Does definitely have quite a bit of aim control mixed in as well. Something that is very easily chain missable. I think we saw that in the last match, but another match that we have the information on, it's 500k to 400k when previously played. So Decaten was, in all honesty, not that far off. So if we see about 100k improvement from Decaten, it's potentially very winnable.
I'd never doubt Deca on my hidden hidden goat.
Oh no. Never
you know what? You get to cast the rest of this.
The accuracy is it's there for Decaten. It's on the screen, and you can look at it. mrekk had time very early on, 99.6, and has not dropped the combo at all. Both players are going to be trading, but mrekk has already built up 50,000 point lead, so at this point, any trade is pretty favorable for mrekk, and this is a very short map too. We're already a third of the way through, and Decaten finds another miss advantage back over to mrekk as we see further accuracy drops. Back up to 95 is not nearly going to be enough to match the 98 of mrekk, and halfway to go. It's 100,000 points. It's not over yet, as mrekk does find another miss. Decaten has a chance to come back into this one, but 100 combo is not massive. We're going to see likely another miss from mrekk, and the miss comes from Decaten.
Those jumps are just not hittable.
They're really not. And once again, trade favors mrekk. This one is looking over yet again. 60,000 points. There's not enough combo left in the map, and mrekk is going to be on match point. I mean, at this point, I think it might be time for the no mod 1 coin flip if you're Decaten.
Both players hitting this ending too. It's like a slider breaking at the very end, but that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, and actually both players getting very, very comparable scores to the last time they played the map. So really no massive improvements or underperformances on either side. And I mean, these are the consequences of your defending champion getting 7th seed and playing worst HR player in the second round, losing in tiebreaker. It's a pretty unlucky bracket for Decaten.
Yeah, this tournament is kind of stacked.
Yeah, I mean, that's really true. We're very nearly down to top 8 after this. So anyone who loses kind of in this round is going to be top 12, and then next week will be top 8. So At this point, it is a very, very stacked tournament. Hidden 3 is going to be the pick. And I do like this pick from decaten. Had really good scores on it against Intercambing, about 400k, and it is the alt kind of aim control pick for decaten, which is a skill set decaten has looked good on so far. It is 1 minute and 53 seconds of 137 BPM alt aim control. Reading, very tricky in this map as well. I'd say some light tech elements, but accuracy, definitely tricky on this map with those kind of awkward sliders, and it is very snappy as well as very linear patterns. I remember decaten versus Intercambing, both players really struggled, particularly with the buzz slider after the slider spam patterns, which come a little bit later in the map, and so we'll see if that catches one or both players out. So far, it's just going to be mrekk with a very impressive accuracy. decaten falling behind a little bit, but as long as you hold on to the combo on this map, you're in a good spot. It is not really FCable for either player, I would expect. And we do have, I believe, the buzz slider section coming up very shortly. Nobody missed on the aim or that flow aim section. decaten and mrekk both drop, and those are two massive chain misses, but it's a bigger drop for decaten, down 4% accuracy now, and I mean, almost just off accuracy alone, mrekk is up by 40,000 here.
Still anyone's game, though, as they pretty much equalize those drops. As you said, it is the accuracy lead that is keeping mrekk in the lead for now, but any miss at any point can pretty easily shift that. And there's the miss. So Deca now holding on to the combo.
Yes. Combo is gone.
Now holding on to the combo advantage.
Oh, and there goes decaten again, and we are out of time. This is such a short map, and I think that is going to be it. The miss at the end for mrekk does not matter. And mrekk, 2 matches this weekend, 2 clean sweeps, and mrekk is going to be absolutely
oh my god, he even hit the ending,
no
bro.
Way.
He even hit the, I'm so sad.
And with that, decaten, despite a pretty solid performance, is unfortunately going to be eliminated, and mrekk will be playing the loser of Malashevsky versus Henry next week. That should be a very good one. Our next match, let me take a look, is going to be Sunday, 12 UTC, Malashevsky versus Henry. So it won't be too long before we find out our next week's losers bracket matchup. That is going to be it for us for now. Once again, shout out to all of our sponsors, ! Sponsors in the chat. Greatly appreciate all your support. Anything else, Fiery?
No, that just about does it for us, I think. We have the winners bracket matches coming up later today. If you want to discuss those, I don't have the schedule up right now, so I don't want to make myself look like a fool.
So we've got 12 UTC, Malashevsky versus Henry, followed immediately after by Worst HR versus MCY at 13 UTC, and then we've got our final loser bracket match, Kriller versus Taquito at 17:30. And honestly, this week we're poised for some very close winners bracket matches. Even Kriller Taquito is should be a very close match in my opinion in terms of skill set. Both very strong tech players. Taquito definitely more of a hidden player, whereas Kriller should have the edge on Hard Rock. But in terms of just playstyles, ignoring mods, there's a lot of overlap there, so it should be a pretty interesting one. That being said, I think that is going to be it for us. Huge thank you to Fire Rage for joining me today. I have been iFlame, and of course, thank you guys all so much for watching. We will see you tomorrow at 12 UTC. Have a good one.
And also thank you for Dio for carrying me in the first 5 minutes. See you guys next time.